Many people who have been hit hard by the unexpected at some point in their lives are again finding themselves in dire circumstances. For people who have been in accidents of some sort and have received monetary settlements to help cope, a down economic system can greatly alter the ways in which this money is divided. What happens if wages are lost or cut back? What do you do if you find yourself in desperate need of the necessities of life? Oftentimes, the monthly stipend that worked for you when it was established is no longer enough to get you the things that you need to live.
A structured settlement is a payment of personal injury damages.
Selling your structure is right for many different situations. It can be a situation where you're trying to keep a good credit score. You want to keep home payments lower. You don't want to have a lot of student loan debt when you get out of college. Or it could be the other end of the spectrum where you do have a terrible credit score and you're just trying to keep your head above the water.
The circumstances differ from customer to customer. I think one of the main reasons that they do sell their settlements is because they're in some sort of a bind.
So the obvious questions are who qualifies and what steps need to be taken to see if cashing in is right for you.
The one problem with structured settlements is no one can predict the future with any kind of 100% accuracy. And so things can change. You can lose a job, someone can get sick, a perceived need for medical treatment, let's say, at the settlement table may not be there anymore. Once upon a time, for instance, I used to think that there's no way anyone would sell payments to finance a vacation. I thought that was ridiculous. Well, then, the more you think about those scenarios, the more you think about the exceptions. I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where, say, someone is dying and taking one last great vacation with their child or their family may be exactly what's right for them. So there is no bright line.
There are some common questions that arise for people in these situations. However, it is important to note that all settlements are different and will proceed as such.
I think the main question people should be asking is, does it make sense for me to sell my settlement? Each person has a different financial situation, and every deal is different for each individual person.
Structured settlements are put into place for a very good and responsible reason, and oftentimes that should not be interrupted. We think that it's important that when a customer looks at any company that they're talking to, that they look at all the options. Is it good to keep your structured settlement in place and not interrupted? Or does it make sense because of your current situation and your immediate cash needs right now to get a lump sum of cash?
I think people are surprised in this industry when they realize that our typical transactions are not 100% of the structured settlement payments. We typically buy a portion. So instead of thinking about if I sell my entire structured settlement, how much money can I get? Rather, it is what do I need to do with the money and how do I sell the least amount of my payments for what makes sense in my lifestyle. Number two is the length of time it takes. Sometimes companies in this industry will be slightly less than forthcoming about the length of time it takes to complete a transaction. This is not something you can get done in a week or 10 days. Average transaction time is somewhere between 45 days and 90 days, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little longer.
Going to court and proving that cashing in their settlement is in their best interests is a crucial step. How can someone unfamiliar with this process be better prepared?
First of all, make sure you remember that this is your hearing. These are your payments you're trying to sell, and that you should make the very best case you can to the judge that this is in your best interest and you should be allowed to sell these payments. And so before you get to the courthouse, make sure you've got documents gathered that will help you prove to the judge what you intend to do with the money and what your financial situation is. What you think is in your best interest, the judge may not agree with, frankly. What I think is in your best interest, you may not agree with. And the judge is going to listen to you and listen to the factoring company lawyer and make that determination. When you go to court, show up a little bit early, dress appropriately, be prepared to walk in, and most importantly, be prepared to make your case.
Like any big decision in your life, it is important to do your research and be aware of any red flags that may exist.
Things to think about when evaluating the company is, number one, kind of how you feel about the person you're talking to on the phone, frankly. I mean, this is an important decision, and you should feel like you're being taken care of. Number two, looking at a company in general is going to be their length of time in the industry, because that shows a level of understanding and sophistication that they will need.